I always don't like the 5 minutes before I speak, right? My body just wants to throw everything out. Here I am. So, hi everyone. My name is Akshata Nayak, and the last time that I stood on a Vermont Womenpreneurs stage, I was at a vulnerable stage in my life. Personally, it was my first night away from my baby girl, Ava. And professionally, I was at a very difficult crossroads in my life, and I admitted that out loud for the first time in front of all of you. And I felt this weight lift off my shoulders. So a few months later, during the pandemic, when I did have to make the gut-wrenching decision to close the Orange Owl down, it didn't feel as scary because I'd shared that with all of you. But you know how it kind of happens. You think you will finally get some time to yourself, and an unexpected opportunity can instead come and find you. Ava was 2 years old at the time, and her vocabulary was exploding. I realized very quickly that she could understand every word I said to her in Konkani, my native language, but she replied only in English, our default at home. If you've lived in a multilingual, multiracial, multicultural household, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So determined to teach her my language, I decided to make her a book in Konkani, and that is what this whole thing should have been. One $25 book, but once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. And the wheels in my brain started turning. And then in the summer of 2020, an incredible racial justice movement stood up. It had its origins in horrific situations, and the message was powerful and inspiring, and it made me think about my own experiences as an immigrant who has chosen a new country to be her home. How the last few years had been so different relative to the almost 2 decades that I've lived here. And this sort of odd us versus them ideology that was spreading across not only this country, but around the world. And I looked at Ava again, and I watched her as she ate her dosas, Indian crepes, dipped in a spicy chutney that had been swirled in with pure Vermont maple syrup. And I realized how different my normal is from hers as she grows up to be a biracial girl in this country, and how different that is from some of her friends. And the wheels in my brain, they just kept turning. I wanted to make sure she saw how different all of us can be, while also realizing how similar we really are. How you can have pride in your own identity while you see others as their true selves. Right? And so I looked for resources, books, games, anything I could find that could highlight this. I found a few beautiful books. I found some beautiful toys. What I didn't find, however, were products, games, books, a brand, anything that grew up with her abilities, while staying focused on these ideas. And the wheels in my brain, they just kept turning. Being a biochemist and a nutritionist with a little extra time on my hand at the moment, I did what I knew how to do best. I dove deep into the research. I read about early childhood education, developmental stages, and how our relationships with our identities fit into all of that, as well as others' identities. Do you want to know what I found? I can't hear you. Do you want to know what I found? Yeah. 5 years. That's the age by when biases about race, gender, and culture have already set in. Think about that, before kids enter kindergarten. If left unaddressed, these biases can last into adulthood, but research also shows that inclusive messaging can change these attitudes in just a few weeks. Now, this information has been out in the public forums for decades, and still we somehow have more children's books with animals as the main characters than all of the minorities combined. And boys are twice as likely to be the heroes, and girls are twice as likely to use magic to solve problems rather than their physical abilities or their knowledge. Those wheels in my brain now, forget about turning, my whole brain went poof. And with whatever brain matter I had left, I launched Little Patakha last year. A Patakha is a firecracker, and I can't think of a better way to describe children full of potential, needing just a spark of encouragement. So Little Patakha hopes to spark curiosity in young minds by introducing them to sounds, ideas, and people that they normally wouldn't come across. So they can learn to celebrate differences while seeing how they make us more vibrant and innovative. We do this by focusing on 3 themes. We want to teach kids to look beyond stereotypes. Our lives are divided into pink and blue, literally speaking when we're babies, and then figuratively speaking as we grow up. It's time to look beyond those imaginary boundaries. We want to make STEM subjects more inclusive. When you see kids that look like you or someone you know participating in these activities, those scenes instantly become more believable. We want to use languages, foods, traditions as stepping stones to learning new cultures and countries. The idea is to create a little Patakha universe where diverse people aren't just secondary characters in a protagonist's story. Instead, they each take their turn to tell their own story in their own voices, preserving their own perspectives. We have different media for different stages of development, all focused on promoting inclusion and shattering stereotypes. And it's been an incredible year. We completed 2 successful Kickstarter campaigns where we received close to $40,000 in pre-orders. We won a national level pitch competition, which really helped underscore the potential for impact here. And now, Little Patakha is a part of Launch Vermont, where I'm learning to see how I can help it grow, right? And I've been able to do all of this at Little Patakha, and I couldn't do it at the Orange Owl because this time I'm trying to surround myself with people who can help me out. So I'm not wearing every hat that an entrepreneur does. And now I am adamant that Little Patakha finds its growth right here in Vermont, in a small state, a rural state, repeatedly called the second whitest state in the country. I want to show that a business with a Hindi word in its name, looking to do what Little Patakha wants to do, run by a woman that looks like me, can find deep roots here. Now, I know it won't solve the big problems, but what I also know is that it will move the conversation in the right direction, and that is a powerful story. So I hope you will all join us at Little Patakha as we look to spark curiosity, celebrate differences, and shatter stereotypes. Thank you.